Here we go again. Ain't no problems, ain't no thing. What's up, everybody, and welcome to this stream for the first time today. How we doing? How's the stream? How's the stream quality? How's the fucking stream quality? Huh? Huh? Is it okay for you? Give me 1 second. Right, yeah. Lag again? Really? Because I had a Windows update. I did the Windows update. I was hoping that would fix the problem. I don't see any warnings or anything like that. I don't see anything. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it. I don't see any lag on my end, though. It lagged for a bit. Fucking doubt it. If it lagged, he gone. Yeah. Well, like, look, there was so many people saying it that I was like, you know, it's probably not even a troll. And then I looked over and I saw that it was pretty bad. And I was like, oof, okay, well, that sucks. But it should be good now. It should be good now. So anyway, guys, when last, because I ended the other stream and I unlisted it. So let's just do like a little bit of a recap for those that are like sort of watching on the replay. We were talking about Secret Invasion. We were discussing where the show's at, how we think it's doing. And look, a lot of people kind of think it's middle of the road. Some people are positive on it, but a lot of people are like giving this episode like a 5, 6, or a 7 out of 10. And we were discussing how this is the big reveal of the show, right? This is the big reveal. The big thing is Rhodey is revealed to be a Skrull. And I was just reading an article by, well, actually I forget who the article was by, but it's on Marvel.com, and they're talking about comments by Kevin Feige, and this is something they had planned for a long time. Apparently, Rhodey himself, or Don Cheadle, had known about this for a long, long time, and he was keen on it and understood it and everything like that. And the main thing that I wanted to kind of say was like, dude, this is the big reveal. This is the Avenger they put in the show to end up being a Skrull. And nobody's talking about this. Like, you look at Twitter, dude, nobody's talking about this. It doesn't appear to be making headlines. It doesn't appear to be getting a lot of interest. I don't think people really care. And that is so weird because Rhodey being a Skrull is a big deal. Like, it is a big deal. And yet, I feel like here's what part of what I think is going on here is I think the audience kind of refuses to believe that anything going on in these shows is going to be of consequence. And even this Skrull thing, we're like, oh, wow, like, that's crazy. But, like, we expect the real Rhodey to be back. And probably the next time you see Rhodey in a movie, which will be Armor Wars, they'll just recap all this stuff. And so it's like this weird in-between, this weird feeling where on the one hand, like, whoa, that's like really crazy. That's like such a big deal. And yet I don't think we expect it to have much impact on anything at all. And it feels like if this really was something that they thought of for a long, long time, and this was in the movies and there were different appearances of him like being a Skrull. I mean, let's just like, let me ask you guys, do you believe that? Do you believe that they've been planning this for a long, long time and that they've known Rhodey as a Skrull for a long, long time? Do you believe that? Yeah. George, welcome back to the Nerd Adventures. Honestly, I don't. Like, I just don't believe it. Like, if it was something they had planned for a long time, where and how and why? Like, what did it change? You know what I mean? Like, it almost feels like Rhodey has been kept so far to the back as far as consequential Marvel shit that he's like the safest Avenger ever to turn because it doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't change anything. You know? It's really weird. Like, I don't know. I just think it doesn't matter. I think a lot of people don't care. I expect Marvel to, like, dude, let me just say that, like, if this is, because I know some people, I think it was Chibuiz was saying the other day that there's supposed to be 3 big reveals of Skrulls. If the 3 big reveals are War Machine, Sharon Carter, and then Nick Fury, like this, that one of the Nick Furies we've been following is actually a Skrull. That's stupid, bro. That is so stupid. That is not Secret Invasion level surprise, twist, and craziness. And, you know, one of the things I was saying on the stream before was, like, I went out and saw Mission Impossible yesterday. And it's amazing. Like, it was one of the most fun theater experiences I ever had. Dude, I don't know. You know what I honestly feel like? And I don't want to, like, just totally, like, shill or simp for Tom Cruise. But it almost felt like Tom Cruise called my local theater and said, you make sure the popcorn tastes extra good today. Because every fucking thing tasted extra good yesterday. It was awesome. It was incredible. It was a kick-ass experience, man. And then you come home and you watch Secret Invasion. And number one, it feels like homework. Number 2, it is nowhere near the quality of Mission Impossible. And they're both spy thriller, espionage things. And I was making this point before, like, dude, Sam Jackson, guys. Sam Jackson was like the A-list of A-list when I was growing up. He was the biggest actor. In fact, for a while, it was between him and Harrison Ford, I think, for like the highest paid actor or the actors that were in the highest grossing movies or something like that. Like, Sam Jackson is crazy high profile A-list celebrity. So how does this show, with 2 of the best actors that Marvel has in probably 3 of them, honestly, with Ben Mendelsohn, but like it's about Nick Fury, the A-list of the A-list, Secret Invasion. And how does it feel so inconsequential? The other thing that's crazy about this, dude, apparently they spent $211 million on this show. Can you believe that? Guys, what? They spent $211 million creating this show? That was in Forbes. That's almost as expensive as the Rings of Power. This is like another Andor in the sense that they spent $250 million on Andor and like nobody watched it. Now, it just grabbed up a bunch of Emmy nominations. I know some people are probably really happy about that because some of you guys like Andor. And maybe it'll win a couple Emmys, and then maybe you could make an argument that like it was worth the price tag. I still don't think so, regardless of that, because the viewership is just so low. But like Secret Invasion is operating at a pretty low level. It's and we'll see where it ends up shaking out on the Nielsen charts. But like, dude, $211 million for a show that feels inconsequential. It looks cheap. I'm sorry. It doesn't even look as good as Andor. Sometimes it does, but like a lot of the stuff looks horrible. Like I felt like the action sequence in episode 4 was cool, but then like as soon as he goes to use the Groot powers, it looks like shit. And I'm like, dude, what are you spending $211 million for and doing Super Skrulls if you can't even get the Super Skrulls to look good? Like, what are you doing over there, dude? It's fucking crazy. So I also want to, and I do want to watch Paul's video on it, because I feel like that's fun. We'll watch Paul's like breakdown of it or whatever. But I want to like just go over this. Now we're not going to get into the strike stuff just yet. But I mean, this is fascinating, dude. I just did that video about a week ago about how I felt Disney Plus is destroying Marvel and Star Wars, and I mean that. Listen to some of the stuff that Bob Iger says in this interview, which I guess for context here, guys, Bob Iger, like, let's put it out there. Bob Iger, I mean, I don't know how hard I should go on Bob Iger. I've seen some people try to defend this guy and say whatever. I think a lot of Disney's current problems are his fault completely. And he tried to scoot out before the pandemic because he saw that shit coming. He saw what was going on in Shanghai. And, sets Bob Chapek up. The board is like in panic mode. The stock price is very much in the tank. And so they bring Bob Iger back on a Sunday and they get rid of Bob Chapek, okay? So Bob Iger is brought back because, well, Disney's kind of fucked and Wall Street loves Bob Iger. And so the sense of stability and all that. And he's supposed to have a 2-year contract. And I remember when he came back, he was like, he swore up and down it's only for 2 years because it's kind of insane that he would come back. Not just because of like the timing and everything like that, but this dude's old AF and he said he'd never come back. I remember even him like discussing, he's like, I'd never come back. So he came back. Now they've extended his contract. So he's going to be there for 4 more years. 4 more years. To try to clean up the mess that I think mostly he created. A lot of you guys are like, oh, it's Chapek. No, I don't think so. I really do think it's mostly Iger. Let's just listen to some of the things he said, dude. This is crazy to me. Okay, so he's talking about cost cutting from Marvel animation to underwhelming box office. And he says here, you pull back not just to focus, but also as a part of our cost containment initiative. Spending less on what we make and making less, Iger said. Earlier this year, Disney rolled out a board reorganization of the business that included $5.5 billion in cutting close, of which $3 billion would be slashed from content excluding sports. Iger said Thursday that a lot of decisions were made to prop up the company's flagship streaming service, Disney Plus, which is his brainchild, and beckons more customers. While also noting that Disney had some Pixar animation misses in recent months, he called out Marvel as being a particular example of the company's zeal to pump up its original content on streaming. Marvel is a great example of that. It had not been in the television business at any significant level, and not only did they increase their movie output, but they ended up making a number of TV series, said Iger. Frankly, it diluted focus and attention. And I 100% agree with that. But my thing is like, did fucking Kevin Feige like come to your house one evening and say, I want to do television? Like, do you think that's how that went down, guys? That like Kevin Feige, after doing Infinity War and Endgame, was like, I'd love to do 11 projects in a year. I'd love to not only continue to do what we're doing with movies, but let's make some streaming shows. Like, do you think that, bro, who the fuck does this guy think he is? He's out here trying to paint it like Marvel came up with the idea of doing all these streaming shows and continuing all that stuff. I think that's insanity. Disney acquired Marvel for more than $4 billion in 2009, and the franchise has since grossed billions of dollars at the global box office for the company. Earlier this year, Iger had said the company needed to assess how many sequels each character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe could spur. Oh, it triggered me when he said that too. Man, what a fucking idiot. It was time to explore newness for the brand. He added there was nothing in any way inherently off in terms of the Marvel brand. earlier this year, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania debuted as the 31st film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, kicking off 5th phase of the 15-year-old franchise, and it sucked. Meanwhile, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has done much better, grossing over $800 million globally. On the Lucasfilm front, there hasn't been a Star Wars film in theaters since 2019, and the company was focused primarily on series, such as Emmy-nominated Andor. Oh, they love to be able to put that in there. God damn it. And Kenobi. What a fucking... Hang on, I need a moment. So I'm about to freak out, dude. Like, what a clown world. What a clown world that we live in. Such as Emmy nominees Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi for Disney+. Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the 5th film in the franchise, has underwhelmed the box office. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, you've got Iger out here pointing the blame at Marvel, talking about the dilution of the brand. I completely agree with that. I think that's absolutely on point. The problem is, I think it's his fault. Like, again, I don't think, like, Kevin Feige was out there like, hey, you know what? I'd really love to do some streaming shows, Bob. Like, that just seems great, man. I'd love to do that. We're also going to talk later on in the stream, guys, about a bunch of stuff that Iger's been saying lately. I mean, dude, the comments he came out and made about the writers and stuff, it's just bananas. Like, totally bananas. This guy, man. It's a bold strategy. You know, it's a bold strategy. It's basically like blaming everybody but himself, which is super ironic because I think he is the majority of the problem.
About what the war could eventually lead to. We now know exactly what the Skrulls' plan is, and they want to have humanity take itself out of the game by having us turn our weapons on each other. They're also making Super Skrulls, which we'll talk about in just a bit, and it's clear that Gravik wants to take things to the extremis. Wanting to flush out the traitor in his ranks, this was revealed to be Gaia, and the episode
I'll touch on that in a little bit, Mr. Griffin. I appreciate the love.
If you'd seen any of the trailers, and you knew what was coming, and Emilia Clarke was obviously going to play a big role in the show. Elsewhere, we watch as Nick's wife got a gun, and also a mysterious phone call, which takes us in episode 4. Now, episode 4 is titled Beloved, which ties into a poem that we'll discuss in just a bit. We pick up immediately after Gaia's death last week and learn that we got a few time right because she injected herself with the Super Skrull serum before escaping the compound. The extremis here heals her, but most importantly it shows us just how the machine works. Contained in the reactor of the plant, this actually has 2 steps to it. Firstly, it involves the DNA, and then it...
Like we said, this leaked out, you know, and a lot of people were talking about it, so...
involves the reactor creating, well, a reaction. And it's also important to bear in mind that Gaia took the memories from the scientist, which is how she got it to work, and it might help her destroy it down the line. Now from here we cut to the title sequence before we then jump to 2012. As I'm sure you know, this is the year that the Battle of New York took place in Avengers, and we join Nick Fury in Paris in the aftermath of it. It's still headline news, so we can imagine that this is taking place recently after that whole battle went down. He's wearing his classic trench coat and turtleneck from the film, though his beard is slightly longer. The pair discuss the poet Raymond Carver, who's historically known as someone that revitalized the American short story, and this happened during the 1980s. As Vara says, his poems are short with a punchline, and the pair discuss the poem titled Late Fragment. Now this poem itself actually has a lot of meaning, and it ties in how we look back at the author himself. Late Fragment was the final poem he wrote just before his death, and he asks himself if he's fulfilled his ultimate goal in life. That is to feel beloved, which of course ties in the title of the episode, and it also has him answering that he has. Carver died at just the age of 50, and this has been seen as the author still finding that he lived a full life, even though it was cut short. Carver sadly passed away from lung cancer, and this poem itself was actually inscribed directly on his grave. It really gives insight to the poet facing his final days, but he felt at peace and also fulfilled. Vara and Fury bond over this, with the pair once more touching hands. Last week they had something similar with the documents on Dreykov she passed to him, and it's clear that the pair are now getting ready to spend their lives together. Now in the present we cut to Vara in a church, watching a choir sing the song Deep River. This is about the hope that peace and freedom will one day be felt, and it's something that's been adopted by groups facing persecution. It of course represents how Vara and the rest of the Skrulls feel, however, they're clearly willing to kill whoever they can to get what they want, which now includes Fury. joined in the house of the Lord. We watch as a hit ordered by Skrull Roddy.
Appreciate you.
We're in a church, mate. Where's your respect? Now, last week in the case of Nick's wife, there was that phone call that had everyone wondering what was going on. I just assumed it was Pagan, who was being used as a proxy, and didn't really go too far into it on the video. However, you folks kept telling me it was Roddy, and I've been sitting for a week like, you son of a bitch! Now, there were other clues that have since been unearthed, and what gave it away were all of the credits. Firstly, Don Cheadle's name appeared as being in the episode, even though my man never showed his face. You also get translated versions of these entries with voice actors dubbing over lines from their English counterparts, and all of Don Cheadle's voiceover artists read out the lines in that scene. This meant we could figure out it was Roddy on the phone. And you see, kids, that's how you know I'm not a Skrull, yeah? Because someone good, they would have caught that. Now, Roddy being a Skrull was pretty much the only conclusion anyone could come to, because he's like the only actual Avenger in the entire show.
Exactly.
The comic said them replacing a member of the team, but obviously they haven't got the budget here to bring in.
It just like, I don't know, man. It's just like it feels like an illy conceived idea. And I think a lot of it is just the fact that it comes from that mindset, like Phase 4 mindset. That, you know, I will say this, for as hard as I was on Bob Iger just now, I do think Kevin Feige, one of the biggest mistakes he made in the past couple of years was overestimating the goodwill he had with the audience. I definitely think he made that mistake. And I think that when they were conceiving of Secret Invasion, I feel like he still had that belief that, like, he could just do this and have it as like this really pale version of Secret Invasion, and it would still be like good enough, and fans would still be excited about all of it. And that's just not the case. You know, I think that there were major mistakes made then, and it's hard to turn the Titanic around.
Thus, we just have Roddy and Everett Ross that they can replace. So yeah, it was kind of obvious when you look back at it. I do think it will be a recent switchover due to him appearing in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which happened quite recently after the events of Endgame. Doubt he was a Skrull during that, though in the first Iron Man movie, it does look slightly different. Something fishy going on there. Now, on top of this, we can hear that Nick Fury's listening in, and as he said last week, he had intel that someone high up in the US government was in fact a Skrull. Vara sort of pleads for his life here, and she says that he's a broken man and a shell of his former self. Man sitting in his chair like Adam 22 listening to his wife putting him down, but the order from Roddy, it still goes ahead.
Has he been doing the Adam 22 jokes this whole time?
Fury, yeah, he constantly takes his glasses on and off. As we saw in the first entry, these are similar to the Edith ones where they can scan an environment and detect certain details. Built with an AI in them, they add an extra layer of surveillance, and it's possible that Fury's been using them to keep an eye on people. Last week he stared at Vara's phone when he was wearing them, and this may have been him scanning the data on it to see who just called. When meeting Roddy, he also wore them as well, and it's possible that he's used them as a way to detect certain things in an area.
I do like the way he did that.
Now, we did catch him in his home watching the FXN host, which he brushed off as him just keeping an eye on things.
How can you watch that poison?
Even the broken clock's right twice a day.
Good morning.
Also, yeah, whenever I say FXN, people are like, it's actually Fox News parody. Fox News parody. Yeah, but it's called FXN in the show. I'm not going to go when they go to the Fox News parody. Just shut the fuck.
I know, dude. I love it. I relate to those jokes from Paul the most because being a content creator, like, let me just tell you this. Like, let me just preface this. We love you guys. You know, appreciate the support, appreciate the views, appreciate the likes. But y'all are some whiny motherfuckers. So annoying. Oh my god, dude. So I totally relate. I totally relate to Paul whenever he makes those kind of jokes.
Yeah, echoed the comics too, as in those he did hook up with Val. He ended up following her to see what she was up to, and this is where it was revealed that she was a spy. He didn't expect her to be a Skrull, but he did interrogate her, which is when he then shot and killed her. At this point she turned, and it just goes to show that there may have been other reasons for why he returned home. A huge shout out to new rock stars.
So are you sometimes? I am all the time.
It could indicate there's two Nicks moving around, with one wearing glasses while
dude, flip it on me. Oh, this is what we're doing today? Is this what we're doing today? I'm rubber and you're glue. That's what we're doing today? Holy shit. This is why when I go to barbecues, I try to explain. I'm like, I'll be like out with friends and stuff. They're like, dude, yeah, this is going on at work. I can't believe that. How's your job? And I'm like, I fucking chat just driving me crazy all the time. These trolls and everybody. People don't get it. They don't understand.
That doesn't. We have seen from the trailers that there appear to be 2 different times Fury came down from Saber, as we can see that he was wearing different clothes. Not saying that could confirm there's 2 versions, but it's interesting how both these...
You know what I just noticed, guys? In one of them, he's doesn't have a hat on. Think about that.
shots were used in the same way. Both appeared in the trailer as a way to show Fury coming to Earth, so potentially that might have been done as a little clue by the creative team. Anyway, from here we cut to Gravik telling Pagan that Gaia is actually the mole. The pair are launching an attack disguised as the Russians, and this leads to a big action scene that we'll talk about in just a bit. Now, as for Pagan, he's a pretty big character in the comics. Played by Killian Scott, Pagan was one of the first Skrulls who infiltrated the Avengers. Masquerading as Elektra for several missions, he perfectly slotted into the group without arousing suspicion.
Yep.
Now, Pagan had taken on the new form of Skrull programming, which involved taking on the memories and DNA of their specific target. You see, in the past, telepaths and characters like Wolverine could send Skrulls out by either reading their minds or
just spilled my coffee.
telling that they smell
That's your fault
differently.
too,
You don't
guys.
smell like dog shit this week, beast. However, Pagan even managed to bypass Spider-Man's spider sense, and it was on a mission to Earth to find Echo that the cover finally dropped. Finding Echo in a brainwashed state, she then stabbed Elektra, which was when the truth was revealed. Taken before Tony Stark, this is when the invasion became apparent, and it was through Pagan that everything came down. He was sent in on that mega dangerous mission, and this mirrored how the team was sent to the sub last week. Now, interestingly, we know that the Skrulls are taking the memories of the people that they're imitating. Even though we know
my
Robert
penny
Fairbank
loaves are
had a
off the
Skrull
chart
imitating
today.
him, this still seemed to be quite attached to the real
Maybe.
Robert's son, Zachary. He didn't want Fury
Look, we're
killing
just having
him,
a good time.
and even hugged him after
You know,
he was
Kendall,
let go.
we're just having a good time over
Potentially,
here, bro.
these memories are like the theory that people have on organ donation, where they say that you take on some of the traits from the person that you got the organ from. Getting someone's memories might make that person care for what they love, and this might even explain why Gravik likes dogs. We saw as
That's
he
true,
arrived
yeah.
in Brixton, and we know Kingsley Benadier is also from London too. Makes sense that he'd have the accent he does, and potentially copied someone from around the area.
Probably
Now,
copied
from
you.
here we join Talos and Gaia meeting on a bench with him showing remorse over drafting her into a war. Whether he likes to admit it or not, he was the one who co-signed Fury, and this brought Skrulls to the planet that ended up acting as spies for him. He obviously couldn't tell the future, but still the people and their abilities have been weaponized in the surveillance he's carried out.
Hey, thanks,
Talos
Steve.
regrets forcing Gaia into it, but she says she did it of her own free will. Due to the death of her mother, she now wants to be closer to her dad, but she needs him to have a counterplan that will appeal to the people. Obviously, they'll follow Gravik to their oblivion otherwise, and thus he needs to have an idea that's gonna win them round. Now, Talos believes showing that there are good Skrulls will make humanity give the millions of them a place to live, but I don't know if you're overestimating our generosity.
What do you think? Do you think we would be chill with the Skrulls? Do you think that if they just showed us that they were really good at it, they would... You think so? Hell nah, bro. Hell nah. No way. There's only one thing that they could do. Okay? Yeah, Asgard thing. It's interesting. That's a good point. The only way is if the Skrulls were like, okay, we have from our ancient Skrull planet, we have cultivated the best weed that you have ever smoked in your life. This is like some interdimensional, cosmic, eternity level. Like you hit this shit and you're going to be chilling with the Celestials type shit. That's the only way. And I can't believe, frankly, I find it to be pretty unrealistic that nobody's thinking of that. You know? Like, imagine a different scenario here where Talos is like smoking doobs the entire time. You know what I mean? And instead of, you know, making Fury seem like a bitch and like talking all this shit on him, they were blazing that shit up. And Talos was like, I've got the plan to unite our fucking species, bro. And then they're just, I mean, like, it's, I think, a more enjoyable show.
Now, he's clearly playing into the quote-unquote good immigrant idea, which makes up a lot of social studies. In case you don't know, this is basically the idea that people will be welcomed into a country that isn't their home as long as they're useful and stick to the culture and rules. It's something that's been studied in depth, and it of course examines things like racism and prejudice to discuss whether acting like this will ever actually be good enough. It's way too in-depth to discuss on a breakdown like this, but Gaia rightly criticizes the idea and kind of shuts it down. It's not going to bring them any true safety, and it's highly unlikely that this will actually work. The Skrulls don't want to be forced to remain in the shadows, which they would have to be, and Talos clearly fails to even convince her. If he can't convince her, he's going to have difficulty with the others, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of things to talk about. Now, apologies if I've kind of rushed over the idea, as it's a very sensitive subject, and yeah.
Let's cancel Paul. You know, like, I've had enough. The fact that he didn't express every nuanced side of this complicated subject matter, what a fucking bigot. You know, it's just like a successful white man to get on the camera and try to explain to people how it is. And on top of that, he's a fucking Brit. You know? Yeah, a Brit talking about integrating. Can you imagine? Fucking canceled, man. Holy shit. But anyway,
if you
let's
took
keep watching.
Something different or just thought my interpretation was wrong, then let me know below. Now from here we cut back to Vara returning to her home. On the wall we can catch several masks, and these are of course symbolic of the faces the Skrulls wear. Nick's wedding ring is there, but he is in the house, showing that he's now stepped away from how he views her as his wife. This is something that he took off to hide the fact that he had one, and this was so people couldn't weaponize her as a way to get to him. Symbolically in the home though, he wore it to show they were together, but him taking it off clearly shows he doesn't trust her. Now one thing you might have noticed about Vara that played her hand a bit in the show was how they literally played her hand. When she first introduced Gravik, we could see she was wearing a wedding ring, and then come episode 3 she wore it at the start too. This was in the flashback in which she met up with Fury, and due to her having it early, I'm guessing it's Skrull jewelry. Now in the present she's completely missing this, which could be symbolic for a number of reasons. May hint how she's no longer with Fury, and this could be seen as being a wedding ring. However, if it's Skrull jewelry, then it may be how she stepped away from them, and we have had hints towards what's happening with her in the trailers. Got in trouble last week for saying that they'd shown Gaia alive, so I'll try and keep that stuff to a minimum going forward, but yeah, there are certain clues. Now Fury confronts her and tells her that he knows she's been instructed to kill him, but he doesn't know if he changed anything about their life. It's a forbidden love, if you will, and Vara divulges that she mimicked a doctor named Priscilla with a heart defect who would appeal to Fury. Now the doctor kept it a secret, and she didn't want people around her knowing that she was gonna die. We've seen cases of this in real life, especially connected to Marvel, and Chadwick Boseman of course kept his cancer quiet to everyone but those extremely close to him.
It is
Not
true.
saying it was implemented for that reason, but some people just decided to live their life without people worrying about them. She asked if she could take over the person's life in the wake of their death, and this would keep up the appearance that she was still alive. She made 3 promises off the back of this, which is that she'd bury her at sea, be a daughter to her parents, and also never hurt Nick. We learned that Vara told her about Nick directly, and she said that she would make her go on to feel loved. Now this of course is playing off the poem earlier in which Carver said that he felt beloved and thus he had a meaningful life. The doctor didn't get to do this, but getting someone to mimic her was somewhat a second chance in which she would feel beloved. Now the poem is brought up once more, with Fury and Vara quoting it directly. Now they Mr. and Mrs. Smith each other, and both purposely missed because they were willing to let the other win and not feel bad for shooting them.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
how much they cared.
That
and
scene
they
was
didn't want
actually
the other
fire.
thinking their murder wasn't just.
Like, I actually did like that scene. It's just like, it's not enough to elevate the show, but it's good.
But them both missing then cements their love. Now, as the gunshots ring throughout the house, we actually see a book by Vara decoding how the superhuman gene works. Clearly, she has gone on to study this, and it might actually be how Skrulls managed to create the formula. Now, as for Super Skrulls, these are basically as super soldiers when it comes to their species. We've had this being a motif that's popped up a lot in the MCU, and both Captain America and Hulk were created through this. We've got US Agent and the Flag Smashers as well, along with the characters featuring a New World Order. We know from
It's called Brave New World now, Paul.
D23 that the leader will be in it too, and if Harrison Ford becomes the Red Hulk, then that's gonna mix things up as well. Now, it's possible that the Skrulls have been studying this too, and as we saw on the scientist whiteboard, they have been studying human DNA. This could potentially tie in with Extremis though, which we know is making up their Super Skrull formula. Now in the comics, the first one was called Klurt, and he mimicked the powers of the Fantastic Four. First introduced in Fantastic Four 18, we saw that they achieved the power set through the use of science. With their powers, he actually managed to beat the Fantastic Four in their first fight, and he was seen as one of their greatest foes. Over the years though, things have been done differently, and they upped their tactics in the run-up to Secret Invasion. Rather than just copying their powers, they copied a hero's entire DNA, and this allowed them to mimic their targets even better.
Yeah.
If you think about it, big reason they'd quickly get caught out is because, like, say a Skrull was pretending to be a hero that could fly, they'd give themselves away as soon as it was takeoff.
Yeah.
However, work on the Super Skrulls allowed them to adapt beyond that, and they were able to blend in perfectly. Now it seems that Gravik is more of a prototype, and that we'll get Super Skrulls that are more in line with the comics. I'm guessing they've skipped this because the Fantastic Four aren't in the MCU yet, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we find out who's playing them very soon. However,
I wouldn't count on that.
They have managed to mimic the Fantastic Four powers pretty well, with them having basically the oldie version of their powers. You've got Extremis instead of Johnny Storm, and instead of Mr. Fantastic, the characters can stretch because of Groot. Strength is covered by Cullen the Frost Beasts, and yeah, it does kind of line up, though we don't get Sue Storm powers, unfortunately. Now, Vara asked Fury directly if he'd loved her if he was looking at her real face, and it's clear that he struggles over this answer. He says, "I'll guess we'll never know, but I think deep down, yeah, it would have always been in the back of your mind. You can shallow Harless all you want, but you'd know, mate, you'd know." Now, if you're questioning whether you'd be down for some Skrull love, we cut to one in the shower, which... I would, you know. Anyway, this is the roadie Skrull, and he finds Nick waiting for him. I wouldn't do them as Don Cheadle, yeah? Just to clarify that. No, it's very sort of James Bondian, with him already knowing the truth, and him basically just playing with his food. It sort of mirrors the prior scene with Vara, and the scene that Fury had with his Skrull in the restaurant. Fury busts out a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, namely the 23-year-old one, which means that it's just in the age bracket that Leonardo DiCaprio would enjoy it. I had a look at this one on Google, mate, specifically. $5,000 in the UK and US for a bottle, and man, he's bloody causing me a heart attack thinking that he's gonna spill it. Don't spill it. Now, what makes it so rare is that it's aged longer than most bourbons, and the distillery that produces it does very limited quantities.
Okay.
It's difficult to get your hands on, but Rory Skrull's of course worried that it's been poisoned. Now, Nick keeps playing up their race and how they should be bonding with each other, which is something that the Skrull weaponized against him during that restaurant scene. He was constantly talking about how they had to outdo mediocre white men, and it was clearly the Skrull trying to play Fury to make it seem like they were on the same side. I love Samuel L. Jackson in this moment, and him smirking as he tells him there's Skrulls in the US government, it did crack me up a bit. He's just playing with him, but the Skrull fires back when he shows a recording of Gravik shooting Maria Hill. Roddy knows that if he exposes the Skrull, then it's gonna cause issues, so what he has to do is expose him instead. The Skrulls are masters at blackmail and deceit, but him doing this is clearly a step too far. Now, Fury leaves without causing a fuss, but we learn what the true goal of this conversation was. Man placed a liquid tracking device, and it allows Fury and Talos to then go and follow him. Now, in the streets, we actually start to see as anti-war protests are beginning to mount up. The world is obviously on the brink of a major conflict, and the president's flown out in order to negotiate. Said to be the most important negotiation since...
Yeah, but I don't feel it. I think that's part of the problem is, like, they're trying to convince me that there's a big national conflict and it's all important and big, but I just don't feel it. I don't know about you guys, but like I don't have that feeling of, oh my god, like this is a powder keg, it's all going to explode, which I've had before in different media, you know?
It's the Cuban Missile Crisis. They wanted to draw him out and then launch the attack. Now Rhodey clearly smells like bourbon, and he begins rattling off quotes like your mate when he's drunk. Also, I love how one of the guys has his arm in a sling, and this is of course who Fury disarmed at the restaurant. Now, last week, you might remember that I accused Ryan Airy from Screen Crush of being a Skrull. My lawyers have advised me not to say anything about it, but they didn't say I couldn't sing anything about it. So I'd like to apologize for what I said, 'cause Ryan has ended up dead. Heavy spoiler fans found him and crushed his head. And I'm sorry, Ryan. They thought that he might be a Skrull, so they tracked him down and bashed in his skull. So I'd like to apologize for the crime, 'cause all it was a theory time. Now, the attack on the convoy is a big thing that's been shown in the trailers, and
Just take the kids out of the room for just a second, guys. Hang on one second. Let's go.
I'm guessing that this is going to be the major action scene in the entire series. Kind of crazy to think we have just 2 episodes left, and if there's a bigger moment than this, then it hasn't been teased yet. Now, getting to Ritson is, of course, their big goal, and in the comics, they actually replace President Barack Obama.
It's a good day.
Where this goes in the future, we also kind of know, because Harrison Ford will be playing President Ross. That's due to happen in Captain America New World Order, with him probably using the series as a springboard.
It's Brave New World
For his own gains. In the comics, it was Norman Osborn who took out the Skrulls, and this allowed him to become the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. All the good publicity gained from it gave him a blank checkbook, and he slowly started to put everything into place. He was the one who became the Iron Patriot, and he also started a group known as the Dark Avengers.
Such a good time in
I think that they may mirror
comics.
this with
Such a
Ross,
good time in
but he'll
comics.
create the Thunderbolts instead. He also won't become the Iron Patriot, he'll become the Red Hulk, and then we'll get a similar thing to what played out in that arc. Either way, the attack is big and over the top, but it actually works as a way to demonstrate that there are good Skrulls. Talos gets himself deep into the fight. And
I thought it was big. There's some cool parts in it, but like the editing is just so weird. And then it really breaks down. The thing is, dude, the whole scene like breaks down because a lot of the like impactful shit is almost happening like in spite of the battle. So like there's all this stuff going on, and then like Gravik's looking over here at the dude, and he's trying to do it, and the other guy sees him and snipes his arm, and it's like all this weird stuff that's so it almost feels like there's like a story happening, and the battle's like just a distraction or an obstacle for the actual characters that are like driving the scene. But that feels like very backwards. They should be so caught up in the battle that like the battle itself is the story. I don't know if that is like making sense what I'm saying, but I just felt, especially after watching such incredible shit in Mission Impossible, that yeah, it's a fine scene, but it falls apart. It's not like it's not as tight as it should be. Like when they try to go do all the character stuff in the middle of the battle, I just lost it. I lost like the scope of it. I lost like which side are we on here? Where's the road? What the hell's happening? Like it all just feels really weird. And then like Gravik comes out of nowhere, uses his powers fucking once, and that's it. And then he's on the others. It's so weird, dude. It's not terrible, but it's not good. It's not like Winter Soldier quality. You know what I mean?
he even sacrifices himself in order to save the president. Now, the death of Talos actually has roots in Greek mythology, with Plato being the one that really helped to give it meaning. There are several different ways that it's said the figure died, but all of these are chalked up to being by Medea. In one version, she gave Talos poison that caused him to go insane, and in the other, she added spells that made him fall to his death. Either way, the legends say that his divine blood was spilled, and this had a massive change in Greek mythology. Now, one thing that's consistent across all the legends is that Talos is seen as being from a past time. Whether he's a leftover from the Bronze Age or a Skrull who represents the old ways, I think it's been pulled across to this to reflect the legends. Now, whether he's dead or not remains to be seen, but I think it would be bad to have 2 death fakeouts back to back like this.
Agreed.
I did think
agreed, but like I couldn't help feeling that same way, and also just being like, but that it just they kill Amelia Clark. Nobody buys it. Nobody. They kill Talos, and we're all like, yeah, he's probably gone forever. You know, they make War Machine a Skrull. Everybody sees it coming. Where's the secrets? Where's the mystery here? Do you know what I mean? Like, ugh.
They'd bring Maria Hill back, but I think after the whole Gaia thing, that keeping her dead's probably the more impactful way to go about it. Either way, this fight clearly demonstrates the power of the Super Skrulls, and the fact that they can shapeshift makes them infinitely more dangerous. Fury also busts out a rocket launcher at one point, and we did see the character using one of these in the Avengers. They're desperate to save Ritson as well, as this will avert the war, and Gravik using his powers clearly shows that it's not the Russians. Loved seeing him bust out Groot's arm and crush someone, but it does kinda in the end give the game away. Now the world will be aware that there are Skrulls, and potentially they'll unite to fight this common enemy. Fury can convince the President of the truth, and Talos inadvertently may bring humanity together through his sacrifice. Even after being shot, he still powers through the pain to free the President, and it's possible that he could have actually survived this. However, Gravik disguises himself as a soldier, and he stabs him, leaving him for dead. He also demonstrates that he has the power of Extremis, which means that Fury's going to have to step it up a notch in order to be able to match him. Now we close out on Talos' body, similar to Maria, and all in all, it was a pretty noble way for the character to go. His legacy will of course be carried on by his daughter, but yeah, this was a death that kinda bummed me out. A huge thank you to everyone for following the videos and channel, and if you want to support us and get something back, we've just launched a Secret Invasion / Pulp Fiction t-shirt. That's over at our merch store, shopzeroedition.com, and look at it, we've got Nick Fury as Jules here, and Talos, he's doing bloody John Travolta, Vincent Vega, I think it was. Now, huge thank you to everyone who's got one so far. Much love, and thank you for supporting the spoiler invasion.
Get your t-shirt. I think that's actually a cool t-shirt. So yeah, cool breakdown by Paul, of course. And I think
that wraps up
my problem with all of this stuff is it feels incredibly broadcasted. It doesn't actually have the tension that it deserves. I mean, look, there's 2 episodes left, guys. 2 episodes left of Secret Invasion. Like, the majority of the show is behind us. And I don't know, like, is this where you guys wanted to be 4 episodes into Secret Invasion? Like, it's damn sure not where I wanted to be with it, you know? So, without, complete condemnation of Marvel Studios, this is just medicine, in my opinion. And I hope, like, I would honestly love, guys, like, I would love to, like, after next week's episode, be like, damn, I was wrong. They really did something crazy. And then after the whole show's over, be like, whoa, like, this is really, really wild. But at the end of the day, I feel like this show's just kind of like a footnote, which is unfortunate. And I said in my video about Disney Plus, I wouldn't be mad if they stopped doing Disney Plus. Stop doing Disney Plus shows 100%. 100%. Really curious what you guys think about this. I wouldn't care at all. I'd actually be more into Marvel if they stopped doing Disney Plus shows completely. Just stop doing them. Like, they don't do anything for the brand. You either need to stop them completely or you need to rethink them. Like, you need to completely rethink them. Because, like, think about how much fun we're having just even getting excited for Deadpool 3, I think between even Quantumania, which ended up being a big stinker, even going into it, though, there was a lot of, like, fun videos, a lot of speculation, a lot of, like, the content was better. It's not fun to, for 6 weeks in a row, like, come out and basically be like, yeah, it's mid. Yeah, we're going to have to retread all the ground about why these shows probably aren't the best idea. Yeah, we're probably going to have to retread all the ground of, like, why Marvel isn't doing well right now. Like, it's bad. It's bad for everybody. I really don't understand. I really wonder what would it take for them to realize that and to, like, really, really pull it back. Now, one thing they did do is they've made the decision, apparently, to stop doing the Disney Plus special presentations. Now, I know some of you guys are like, freaking out because they were kind of decent, actually. They didn't perform well at all. Like, nobody watched those things. And so, I mean, it's not a good look for, like, some of their best stuff on Disney Plus to not be watched by anybody. And I think they've really earned the reputation of, like, Disney Plus content. Like, they've proven John Boyega correct. Yeah, right here. Can we get some toast says With less than stellar performance of Disney Plus as a whole, Marvel is looking to do less special presentations moving forward. Yeah, because those things, nobody watches those things, man. You know, it sucks. It's like, it's a bummer. But how can you, like, do a bunch of shows that are just not that great, and you market them all like they're the next big fucking thing? They're not that great. And then, like, when you do something great, it's hard to convince people, oh, yeah, no, dude, Disney Plus, like, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible, you know? So we got 2 more weeks. I'm not, I'm not trying to crap on the show too hard. It's fine. I just personally think fine is, like, not really what we need anymore. And I'm pretty frustrated about it myself as a fan here. By the way, big video coming out tomorrow about this scene that they've been filming all week. Not only do we now know what this scene is, but there's a leak that details what this scene is and some other crazy things about the movie. So I'm excited for that video. That'll probably drop tomorrow. And I don't know what we're going to talk about on stream tomorrow. Maybe we'll just do a big Warhammer stream or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Secret Invasion. Now, let's talk about this writer's strike. Let's talk about, the Screen Actors Guild strike, which is technically connected to the writer's strike. Okay. So we've kind of been back and forth on this. Sometimes it looked like the strike was going to happen. Other times it looked like they were going to break solidarity and sign a big deal. For now, and I think the vote is happening. They either happened already or it's about to happen. You guys help me out here. Because I think they've moved to strike. They didn't do the negotiations, but then there's going to be one more vote to see if they strike or not. Let me look this up. Yeah, so this is a pretty crazy strike. The announcement is at 3 p.m. Okay, cool. So we still got a little bit of time, but it looks like they're going to strike. Apparently, if they go on strike, guys, these people in the guild will not be able to film any movie or TV production. They're not allowed to take part in any press junkets or film premieres. So we've seen several things happen because of this looming strike already. Like the Ahsoka trailer, that trailer was likely going to drop later, but they dropped it early because they technically cannot drop it after the strike. There's also not going to be press. You're not going to see press. You're not going to see... A lot of things are going to slow down. And this is a super big deal. Now, the writers themselves have been on strike, I think, for 3 months at this point, and they're not really making any headway with the studios. And so one of the things that they're looking for is for the Screen Actors Guild to help them in solidarity, and then maybe they can both sort of negotiate together. As we've explained before, the industry is at a really weird place. A lot of things are changing. Compensation is changing. Streaming is changing. AI is a crazy new technology. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. This strike, given where Hollywood is at, would be devastating. Devastating to Hollywood. And I want to go over this right here because this is like, Bob Iger's out here really making a lot of friends and making some really whack comments. Okay, so this is in Variety. It says, Disney CEO Bob Iger says writers and actors are not being realistic with strikes. It's very disturbing to me. During an appearance on CNBC's Squawk Box on Thursday morning, Disney CEO Bob Iger said the writers and actors unions going on strike in Hollywood are not being realistic with their expectations. Speaking to CNBC's David Faber from the Sunday Valley Conference in Idaho, Iger commented on the ongoing Writers Guild of America strike and the imminent decision of SAG-AFTRA to join them. It's very disturbing to me. We've talked about disruptive forces on this business and all these challenges we're facing. The recovery from COVID, which is ongoing. It's not completely back. This is the worst time in the world to add to that disruption, Iger said. I understand Any labor organization's desire to work on behalf of its members to get the most compensation and to be compensated fairly based on the value that they deliver. We managed, as an industry, to negotiate a very good deal with the Directors Guild that reflects the value of the directors that the directors contribute to this great business. We wanted to do the same thing with the writers, and we'd like to do the same thing with the actors. There's a level of expectation they have that is just not realistic. And they are adding to the set of challenges that this business is already facing that is, quite frankly, very disruptive. It is expected that SAG-AFTRA, the actors union, will go on strike Thursday morning after contract talks concluded late Wednesday night without a resolution. This will effectively halt all script film, TV production, much of which has already been delayed due to the ongoing writer's strike, which is in its third month. SAG has not gone on strike in over 4 decades, and the last time both unions were striking concurrently was in the 1960s. Iger said that while he respects the rights of unions to get as much as they possibly can in compensation for their people, they must be realistic about the business environment and what this business can deliver. Iger continued, it will have a very, very damaging effect on the whole business. And unfortunately, there's a huge collateral damage in the industry to people who are supportive services. And I could go on and on. It will affect the economy of different regions, even because of its sheer size of the business. It's a shame. It is really a shame. And look, he's not wrong about any of that per se. This could be very massive. And I don't know, my imagination is like kind of buzzing with all of the possible different ways that this could go down, because I don't know that I see a really clean resolution for this. You know? Like, we've talked about this a lot. It is a changing time, and like, look, Disney's not even making money like in the box office right now. They've had some profitable movies, but they're down like $1 billion in their last like 9 releases. I just watched some news come out yesterday that the Disney parks are like empty right now because a lot of the price increases and weird things that they're trying to do in the parks. It's a weird time, and there's a lot at stake. And I wonder what would happen if both parties just never came back together. Like, could you really see like an actual division so grand that Hollywood completely changes how it's going to do business? That there's like a lot of maybe independent studios, or like almost like, for instance, I've been seeing a lot of VFX workers lately sharing their portfolios and stuff online, and it's fascinating because, you know, I've talked to some people in the industry about work on some of my projects and stuff, and it's a really interesting time that some of these people that are literally like working on the mainstream, you know, whatever animation, are also out there kind of like thinking about their own future, thinking about working with like YouTubers instead of studios, and it's just a really interesting time. I'm so curious to see what shakes out of this, what's going to end up happening. It could delay a lot of things moving into next year, and I think for us, right, like let's say this would delay like Deadpool 3 and all of these different things, we would just find a different way to make content, maybe do like an entire MCU watch party, and maybe that's what we should do. You know what I mean? Like, if there's really going to be like this really long delay, maybe we'll just start like our own like MCU rewatch series and, you know, do all that. I'm also excited about my comic. I'm excited about like getting my comic book out there, creating independent IP, like doing this new thing that's completely outside of Hollywood, nothing to do with Hollywood, and I can just kind of do it on my own. So we'll see how all of that goes. But damn, are these some really wild comments by Bob Iger? Now, you might say, like, this completely makes sense, and in the business context, it does. But I think given where Disney is at for a brand, like, as a brand, I think it's crazy that he's out here, like, speaking this way. Like, what I mean is, he's speaking in the way of, oh, everybody should just get what I'm saying. Everybody should have a non-emotional reaction to this. And I'm the good guy, Uncle Bob, sweater-wearing Bob Iger. But I feel like the veneer is come off of that image a little bit. I mean, this guy has fired, I don't know, tens of thousands of Disney employees since he came back. This guy is cost cutting. This guy's, low key talking shit on Marvel and FEIGE. This guy is firing. Like, I don't know that this guy has that reputation still. And I think when you put yourself in a position like this for your comments to be taken as elitist and out of touch, and I mean, he is that sort of elite class billionaire type guy. It's weird. And at a time when Disney already has this reputation and a lot of people don't like Disney, I feel like he might be pushing some of the only people left that actually still support Disney by like making these comments and speaking this way so fragrantly. And it's weird too that the dude came back. He just got a contract extension. Like, he got a contract extension, and I know maybe some of this is him like speaking to Wall Street, frankly. Like, he's out here trying to speak to the investors, not really to the workers or whatever. But I mean, like, this headline is a little brutal, bro. This headline's a little bit brutal, and it's just gonna show what Disney really is, I think. Let's read a little bit more. In a shocking move, Iger returned as Disney CEO in November of 2022, less than a year after his initial exit from a 15-year run at the helm. He took over for Bob Chapek with the intention of being to look for a new successor. However, with Disney's numerous internal issues and the need to reinvent its linear TV model, in the streaming age, it was expected within the industry that Iger's contract would be extended. In 2022, Iger's total pay package was $15 million, though Chapek was paid almost $24.5 was at the helm of last year. After Iger took over, it was revealed that he has the potential to earn up to $27 million in 2023, his first full year as returned CEO. Speaking of Disney's linear business, when it comes to broadcaster ABC, as well as cable's Disney Channel and FX, among other things, Iger said that it may not be core to Disney. When Faber suggested the idea of a sale, Iger said the company will be open-minded and objective about the future of its business. There clearly is content that they create that is core to Disney, but the distribution model, the business model that forms the underpinning of that business, and that is delivering great profits over the years, is definitely broken. And we have to call it like it is, Iger said. When I came back, one of the things I discovered was that the disruptive forces that have been preying on that business for a while are greater than I thought. It's eye-opening. There's a reality to it that we have to come to grips with, and we have to come to grips with it now. Yeah, this has to do a lot with advertising, probably. The notion that Disney is anyways... Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't even know what the fuck... I don't want to talk about that shit. Yeah, weird stuff. Weird stuff they put. But it is stuff that sort of lingers over Disney. So, it's weird, man. And you know what else? Like, I don't know where these reports came from, but did you guys see the reports of... They were saying, like, basically let these motherfuckers go broke. They're like, the plan is to let them lose their houses. Like, holy shit, where's that at? I'll find it. Yeah. And even if you look at the way people are reacting to Iger's comments, it's not positive. You know what I mean? And there'll be a lot of people that honestly do not give a fuck about the writers or the actors, but just hate Disney, that will be so happy to just point out his hypocrisy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's kind of set himself up to have, like, a lot of enemies. And that's silly, dude. That's not smart business. Where's the line where they said, let them eat cake. Oh, here we go. To do so, the studios and the AMPTP believe that by October, most writers will be running out of money after 5 months on the picket line and no work. This is real shit here. The end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses, a studio executive told Deadline. Acknowledging the cold as ice approach, several other sources reiterated the statement. One insider called it a cruel but necessary evil. Holy shit, dude. That's fucking nuts. They're basically saying, like, well, those pause can only last without our wages for so long. Soon the wage slaves will be begging us to go back to work. Like, that's kind of what it is. And they want to preach ethics to us? Insane. Like, incredible. What a world, bro. What a world. So I don't know. I don't know what to say, guys. It looks like the strike is going to happen. It looks like it will be impactful. We're just going to play it by ear, you know. We'll make content. We'll figure it out. You know, I'm not a part of any guild. I don't work for any Hollywood studio and anything like that. So, yeah. I wonder what you guys think, you know? I wonder what's going to happen, you know? I'd love to see Hollywood actually fall apart and like really truly lose its like monopoly on the entertainment industry. It would be so cool if like some other big cities popped up or some other big companies that outside of Hollywood like started producing stuff and like making stuff. That would be incredible, you know? I would love it. I just don't know that that's like even realistic. They have such a stranglehold on so many different parts of that business, you know? I mean, George didn't even make his movies in Hollywood, right? Like he wanted to get the fuck out of there. He went to San Diego, I believe, and shot most of Star Wars in either San Francisco or San Diego. As far as like the on the lot stuff. You know, Nightwing says Bollywood might take over. I don't know about that, but dude, anime might. Anime. Comic books. Independent stuff. Oh, they shot a lot of stuff in the UK as well, but I'm talking about like when he first started working on it, like he got out of there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. What a wild, man. What a wild time. VTubers? Yeah, it could be VTubers for sure. Crazy. Crazy, guys. Okay, should we get into the Q&A? Should we talk about what y'all want to talk about and then just kind of kick it for a little bit and then get on out of here? We had a couple super chats on the other stream before it went down. Let me see if I can get to them. I just want to say thank you to Elijah for that very generous $100 super chat, man. That's so nice. Thank you so much. All right, so I'll read a couple more. It says, remember your Mission Impossible experience when the new Superman comes out and Warner Brothers pass over Macquarie for James Gunn to reboot everything. Oh, I was thinking about that when I left the theater, man. I was thinking about that. I was like, I can't believe they almost had this guy working on Superman. That's incredible. I was also thinking about how badly I want Tom Cruise in the MCU. And can you imagine a Christopher McQuarrie, Tom Cruise MCU movie just about the 838 Iron Man? You don't even have to like connect it to the multiverse. Just do an 838 Iron Man movie. Oh my God, bro. I'm telling you, man. That Mission Impossible movie was so good. I want to see it again. I want to go right now. It was so damn good. Oh my God. So good. Rosie says, if it lag, hey, gone. Indeed. Bradley Rollins, thanks, and welcome back to the Nerd Vengers. George, welcome back to the Nerd Vengers. Rosie says, what's Armor Wars? A small summary, please. So, Armor Wars is going to be a movie that's probably going to focus on the real Rhodey trying to clean up the mess that the Skrull roadie made while also trying to keep Tony's technology out of the wrong hands, etc., etc. It was going to be a show. Now it's going to be a movie. Probably going to have the return of Tony Stark. Should be good stuff. Talented Mystic Griffin says, so is training a protege still a part of his contract, or was that removed with the extension? No, I think it's still a part of it. I don't even think it's in the contract, though. I think it might be a part of why, like, the board approved it, and maybe there's just, like, an agreement between him and the board that, like, he's going to find a successor. But I mean, look, what's the other choice? What choice do they have? Either they don't extend his contract, and in 2 years, he just hands it off to somebody else. And I mean, that would crush the stock price. You know? So, I don't know, bro. It's weird. It's a weird one. Chase Floyd says, 27 months of giving you my money at the Prime level. Since no more Prime, will my membership automatically change, or will I have to remember? You, the man, Josh. I'm pretty sure you'll be fine, although I do want to look into that. Because I'm not sure. And I don't want you to, like, lose your badge and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That would suck. Dooley says, congrats to you, Elisa, and Liam on the wedding. Quickly approaching 30 months as a member. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. Much love to the chat. Yeah, thank you so much, man. We're not talking about it too much, you know, publicly or whatever. But, yeah, it was nice. It was really nice, and I appreciate sharing it with you guys. And thank you so much. Rosie says, you are correct. Iger started the Disney issues, keeping and supporting people like KK. Chapek was hired to pull Disney out of the fire. Then they rehire Iger. Iger wants to put them into politics. That says a lot. Yeah, I think Iger made some good moves in sort of the middle of his tenure at Disney, but I think he made some bad moves towards the end. I feel like he wanted to get out from under those bad decisions, which is why he tried to exit early. And I think now he's been dragged back, and I think his entire legacy's on the line. I think a lot of people are becoming disillusioned with Bob Iger. I think Wall Street is becoming disillusioned with Bob Iger. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see what the next couple of years bring. Jimmy B says, most of these issues are objectively on Iger. His renewal really concerns me about how far any turnaround will go. That's true and probably fair. I mean, I don't even know how Disney gets out of their current situation. You know, it's just such a weird situation because they're not even doing well, like, financially. And I feel like they've done so poorly at, like, I guess you could call it customer acquisition, but it's really just branding. Like, they're now in a position where they are, like, people hate Disney, dude. And a lot of people are willing to literally put their money where their mouth is because they hate Disney so much. And the fact that I don't even know if they fully understand that. It is clearly doing at least some of the damage here. I'm not saying it's doing all of it, but they have really fucked that up. And now, like, I feel like all the stuff they're doing now, like even Iger coming out here and talking about all this stuff, it's not going to help. They're just going to lose more and more people. Like, at some point, I feel like what they would need to do is kind of have some accountability and, like, put forward a new vision. And it feels like they're really reluctant to do that for whatever reason. It's scary. I mean, it's scary. So. Oh, I should talk about Gunn's casting. I will. Let me get through these super chats and then we'll talk about the James Gunn stuff. Was Rhodey that got hurt in Civil War the same Skrull? I don't know. Yeah, maybe that was the Skrull, which would be kind of interesting, huh? Huge missed opportunity for the last episode sub to be called Skrull in the Hall. Take my money. What the fuck? Snoop Dogg is a Skrull. Comic Kush. Hell yeah, brother. Thanks for the love. Smokey Kenobi says, 21 months, baby. 21. You see comedian Brian Simpson shouted out Comic Explained on Joe Rogan's podcast. Says he stays watching it. That's crazy promo. Oh, yeah. I mean, I did see the clip. I thought it was awesome. But, yeah, Rob has done something truly special with that channel that is, like, really relevant. And I hope he knows that. You know, it's probably cool to get reminders like that via that podcast thing. But, like, it's real. Like, he created this, like, institution for a lot of nerds. It's a big deal. Congratulations to him. Darboyd says, if Disney can't make a given show at least as good as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they shouldn't make it at all. Oh, I agree with that. Trinity says, good morning, Nerdvengers. Just got home from my morning ride. 50 miles for a total of 615 miles on the month. Nerdvengers in these canyon roads. My God, that's a lot of riding, dude. I don't even know if I've moved around that much in general. You know, I'm kind of like go from here to the bathroom to painting my minis and, you know. Good for you, though. C-Dub says, I would be fine with Disney Plus continuing to produce the animated shows like Clone Wars, Bad Batch, What If, and X-Men 97. All the live-action stuff should go back to theatrical releases. I agree with that. That wouldn't be a bad move, C-Dub. Thanks for the 10. Sajid says, forget Marvel, forget Star Wars. We got Chris Hemsworth playing Optimus Prime next year in an animated prequel movie that we got better things to be hyped for. Is that true? That is crazy. That is crazy. I'm kind of down, dude. I'm kind of down. Kendall says, MCU movies, thanks for the 10, brother, by the way. MCU movies are MJ playing basketball. Shows are when he tried baseball. You know, he really wasn't that bad in baseball from what I remember. These Iger quotes got me like, Iger, show them who you are. I am Bob Iger, son of Hollywood. Talent voice. Much love, broski. Hey, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, he's wilding a little bit, in my opinion. 100%, dude. 100%. He's got a little bit of that Matthew McConaughey energy, you know? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just, it's a little much. And I don't know if it's the move right now. You know, like, what happened to, like, sweater wearing, we love everybody, bullshit ass Bob Iger? Bro, he was bad at baseball. Check the stats. He was actually not bad. He's better than most average MLB players. I've looked this shit up, bro. We don't need to go down this whole rabbit hole. Do we need to go down this whole rabbit hole? I think some people have because y'all watched fucking Space Jam and you thought motherfucker wasn't good. No, he was incredible. He was incredible. Holy shit. Anyway. This is the is this the wildest stream we've had in a long time? You just tell me, okay? I'm not even sure. Okay, I know you guys got all mad about the lag earlier, okay? Is this the wildest stream we've had in a while? Sheesh. Okay, anyway. Joey Ebbs, welcome back to the Nerd Venture. Appreciate it. Vandolph the Black says, let Hollywood fuck around and find out how hungry the Midwest is to create TV/films. The talent and technology and locations are here. Red to go. Yeah, I 100% agree. I really think that would be such an interesting scenario. New Hollywood. It almost looked like Atlanta was going to be that for a little bit, you know? The Midwest has a ton of people. I know there's film scenes in almost every major city. Like independent film scenes, you know what I mean? Yeah. 34 Virgo says, so you don't think this show is at least second best or the best show from Marvel besides Loki? Pfft, no. Fans will only appreciate the greatness once the MCU ends. No, man. I don't think so at all. I'd say like Loki, WandaVision, hell, even Hawkeye is better than this show. Yeah. No, I don't think Secret Invasion is anything special. No, not at all. Mariana says, Star Wars got 22 Emmy nominations. Also, SAG-AFTRA striking. Yeah, we talked about the strikes. I cannot believe they got that many Emmy. I cannot believe they got that many Emmy nominations. Man, Disney is shady, bro. Like, I'm just going to say it. Disney is shady. Like, the fact that Hollywood seems to be going super soft on the fact that Indiana Jones is a goddamn disaster massive flop. They're going so easy on them kids' gloves. And 22 Emmy nominations for shit that can't pull numbers even close to some of the biggest shows out there. Like, is The Last of Us getting 30 million an episode or not? Is The House of the Dragon getting 30 million an episode or not? And we got rinky-dink little fucking Star Wars shows that do like 4 at 5 at most, and we're giving Emmy nominations? Kathleen Kennedy isn't even greenlighting a sequel to Kenobi, and it's getting Emmy nominations? No. It's fucking bullshit, dude. In my opinion, of course. Block Writer said, how do you feel about the new Superman Legacy castings? Okay, let's get into it. I like the Superman Legacy casting. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you like the Superman Legacy casting? So I'll run you through what it is, okay? I'll run it. Oh wait, I don't think I like retweeted anything about it. Hang on. I think I just said I like the casting. Okay, so not only do we have some casting, but we've got some plot stuff too. Okay? So, we've got Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, W. We've got Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl. No idea who she is. Good for her. And Eddie Gathegi, the guy that played, what was his name? Adaptation or whatever in X-Men First Class, the homie that got killed by Sebastian Shaw. I mean, I like that dude, and I think he'll be a good Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific's a cool character, okay? I like it. Now, there was a bit of drama. Darwin, that's it, yeah. So, there was a bit of drama with the casting because a lot of people are noticing, like, these are some old actors, man. And you had said Henry Cavill was too old, which, by the way, that has nothing to do with it. I tried to explain this to you. My whole fucking villain arc started because I was just trying to let everybody know. I was just trying to tell the people, James Gunn doesn't like Henry Cavill. I was just trying to warn everybody. He doesn't like this dude. Period. And everybody's kind of waking up to that fact and, like, understanding it because, like, Nathan Fillion is 52 years old, bro. So you're casting a 52-year-old Guy Gardner, and you're not casting Henry Cavill. Now, here's what's interesting. I am actually not even that butthurt by it. I've let it go a long time ago. We're not going to Henry Cavill. I'm trying to embrace the new DCU. I actually like the casting, but there's people that are not going to let that go. And I saw, like, this tweet from Grace is really interesting. She says, DC fans do this every time. You say, let's wait and see about a clearly bad idea. You say you're excited, but you don't buy tickets. First movie out and the cycle is already continuing. She's saying it's Guardians of the Galaxy, Peacemaker. It's all the same vibe. That says the casting is not inspired. It's going to feel like a B level or a C level kind of superhero goofy movie crazy thing. And I'm not even on the same page with her, but a lot of people do feel that way. And they're sort of like weirded out by it. We also got Anthony Kerrigan as Metamorpho. Okay. But this is kind of interesting here, okay? I want to bring this up for a couple of different reasons. Number one, because I love that you guys get so triggered. You're like, Grace Randolph. And get all triggered. But also because she was on the trail of the Authority being in Superman Legacy. Okay? And she had talked about this. Other people had talked about this, but apparently not. Apparently it was a misdirect. Apparently he was literally putting out fake information to try to throw scoopers off, and it worked. It got other people talking about this. However, apparently the real deal is instead of being Authority, it's actually a JSA type team or the actual JSA. Right? Lex Luthor is okay. So here's like the plot. There's conflict in the Middle East. Superman wants to stop it one way. Other heroes disagree. Lex Luthor is also trying to negotiate peace his own way, and there's going to be like a JSA team. It's not a bad idea and mimics the political commentary in the Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know how a 4-quadrant it'll be, and involving politics is tricky, but it sounds like a movie that some DC fans, including myself, could enjoy. So it's basically Black Adam. Yeah, it's very similar. So, yeah. I wonder what you guys think of this. What do you think? Conflict in the Middle East. Thoughts, chat? Thoughts? What's the JSA? That sounds accurate. The Justice Society of America. Yeah. I'll say two things. I respect the boldness of the idea. It's not a bad idea. It's bold. I think given the tension in the world, given the political differences that are like everywhere, it's a bold idea to do it. My problem is I cannot imagine the contrarian James Gunn executing this in a way that's going to be truly satisfying for a 4-quadrant audience. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the fact that he knows the idea and he can figure out like this could work and I can see a scenario in which it will. Maybe he has it. Maybe he can figure it out. Maybe he could do it in a way that it is 4-quadrant, that it feels like everybody can cheer for Superman, and maybe he'll actually set this up the right way. Maybe it's the perfect way to do it, and maybe he knows something that I don't. But I just feel like it's mismatch, bad times ahead. You know? The JSA is probably going to be on strike soon, too. That's true, actually, yeah. So I just wanted to point this out because, dude, it's wild. It's a really, really interesting story. Not only do we have some of these casting choices, you know, and people feel, you know, differently about them, but we kind of have a big part of what the plot's going to be about. And damn, that is it's a bold strategy, Cotton. It is a bold strategy. So, guys, I've had a good time with you today. You know, it's a good stream. I'm going to get on out of here. Okay, wait, a couple more here. 831 says, just wanted to drop a little coin and say congrats to you and the fam. Thank you so much, man. Joey Ebb says, I never left. My membership renewed today and my card was locked from vacation expenses. Oh, it's all good. No worries, man. Much love. Appreciate you. If that's the plot. True. Fair point, you know, fair point. I'm going to get on out of here, guys. Thank you. I had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time, too. Much love to you all. Much love. We're going to be streaming tomorrow morning, too. We'll figure something fun out. If there's no news, we'll figure something fun out. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. All right. Look, cut the music. We're gonna end this in the weirdest way possible because I know I like to do the post-credit scenes, and then we all are like, "Oh, they're already gone, huh? They're already leave, ha ha ha." It's all fun and games. Look, I've got to poop really, really bad. So